Welcome to the Brave Talk Show. Brave women, bold topics, nothing is off the table. And today we are talking with period expert Elizabeth Tidwell and founder of my Clubbred. I never would have thought that we would have an episode talking about periods because that's kind of like a no-no. But guess what? We're brave and we need to talk about this. So let's get started.
Elizabeth, how did you become the period expert?
Yeah. How does that even happen?
Yeah, honestly, I personally never would have guessed this for myself. Give me 5, 10, 15 years ago. It kind of fell into my lap at the time. This was like about only a year and a half ago. I had just I had an IUD in, so I didn't have a period. I hadn't had a period for a while because I was pregnant before that. And I just kind of had this feeling that like I would watch the trees outside like go through their cycles and watch nature go through cycles. And I just kind of, after 3 years of an IUD and being pregnant before that, so not having a cycle for over 4 years, I was just like kind of feeling like I was missing out and had opted out of something, a natural cycle in my own body that normally, if I hadn't chosen to stop it, would be going on in my body. And it was starting to feel like I was missing something. Again, very surprising. I never would have thought that.
Well, what I think is so really beautiful about that is because you saw periods as something beautiful and something that we should participate in. And I don't know about you ladies, but I have been taught from a young age that periods are a nuisance. Periods are a problem. You don't talk about them. We wish we didn't have them. I wish it was more like a man and didn't have to deal with all of that, and wait a second, maybe we've got it wrong. Maybe there is something beautiful about it. So yes. That's what I want to know. Like, what's so great about periods, gosh. Elizabeth?
Well, let me tell you. So after I decided to get my IUD out, I kind of like, I found at the same time a friend was recommending to somebody else, a stranger on the internet. I internet overheard a friend recommend a book it's called Wild Power, about like the power of your menstrual cycle. I had not heard of that before. So when I decided I wanted to take my IUD out, I was nervous because my periods had been horrible before. Like I was put on birth control in grad school because my periods would like knock me out for days. I had to miss class. Like I was on the bathroom floor for 2 days. So I was nervous. Because yes, that was definitely not only the message I received, but like my lived experience was that periods were awful. But I was super pleasantly surprised when I actually took up my IUD and welcomed back my first period. I actually had a pretty poignant experience. My first period came and I was starting to feel pain. Like I had the backache, I could feel the cramps coming, and I was like, oh, here we are again, right? But then I just like stopped. I remember where I was exactly. I had just walked into my bedroom and I could feel it coming. And I just took a second, which is something I had never done before. And I just like tuned in and asked my body, what do you need? And it was like, there's the floor, lay down. And I laid down and I just rested and just like kind of like felt what was in my body, and my pain went away. It was like, I didn't have to take, ibuprofen, Tylenol, and like just tamp it down, right? I was just like, okay, this is what's happening. And if I just take the time to ask my body what it needed, a lot of times it's rest. So I'm a huge champion of periods are awesome because they're the natural rest phase of our menstrual cycle, and that sets up the whole rest of our month if we can take that time and do some like self-connection, listening to our bodies, and mostly taking that natural rest phase.
Well, I love that. I'm literally like,
wait, I have permission to rest?
Sorry. That was so beautiful. Like I listened to you and I was like, oh my gosh, we've been looking at it all wrong. Like I hate my body when it's in this period. And if I just was like, this is the beautiful power of like the mother inside of us and like our godly mother, like this is normal and natural, embrace it and listen. I bet you we'd all have such a different experience.
She was explaining it. I was like, that sounds like heaven. I know for a lot of people, it is not heaven. It's like day of like, I'm a friend. Because I was like all day, like it's like a whole week of like disastrous, like taking time off work because it's like until I was like, girl, this is what you gotta do. And then it's like, oh, it's not
Well, I think there are people who actually have medical conditions related to their periods, right? And so those people probably do need medical attention, and there are like real symptoms and real things that go along with periods. But
Yeah.
just the thought of having a natural rest where your body's like, hey, I'm going to force you to rest, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes against what we've been taught. Like, I remember growing up seeing these commercials, and it was like this girl, and it's advertising like a tampon, and it's like, with these tampons, and then she's like wearing white spandex and she's hiking up a mountain, and it's like you can just go out there and go and do all the things. And so what's the message, right? Is don't let your periods stop you from being active and go out there. And I think the opposite message is, if you're not doing that, then you're doing it wrong. And is this messing up our bodies in any way? Like, what's the damage we've done with this cultural belief that we're supposed to just go,
Oh my gosh,
go?
yes. This is like huge to me, because I feel like culturally we've been handed this message that our bodies exist for us to control them and conquer them, right? Like in any way. So like, don't let any physical sensation hold you back from doing maximum whatever, fill in the blank. And like, yes, it's this, the cultural idea of periods hold us back, periods make it so we can't do things, or we're weak or whatever, or inconvenient or gross. So much period taboo, and just this message that they are detrimental to us and like what we can accomplish. But when in reality, it's like, our bodies don't exist to be controlled. Our bodies exist as information for how we are. Like when my periods were the worst, so much of my life was out of alignment with like what was actually good for me. But I was so focused on, like, I was in grad school, so I was very disconnected from my body. I was like really busy, really stressed, and your period is a stress response system. So often pain shows up as a messenger from our body that something's too much in our lives, or a few things are too much. And so it's like, if we instead flip that of, I have to control my body, I have to like stop whatever it's doing with a pill or an IUD or whatever. Instead, if we like bring curiosity and bring awareness and this whole idea of like, what is my body communicating to me through our body's language is pain a lot of the time, and disruptions, because that's how it gets our attention. So if we can then bring curiosity and awareness to what could the messages be, that's a much better way to experience not only your period, but like your body as a whole.
So you had this like awakening moment. You remember where you were, you walked in your bedroom and you just started thinking about it differently. How did that change like your periods? Like what started happening for you?
Oh yeah. Not a joke, I look forward to my periods now, because I know the whole month I'm like, oh, I've got a couple of days of rest coming forward, right? So, and I really, really, really prioritize as much rest as possible. I try to and that takes planning ahead. I'm a mom, like I have to arrange childcare, or I have to be okay with having her watch a few more movies than normal, or like doing things laying down. Like I mostly try to lay down as much as possible. I go to bed early. I do some yoga nidra. I do meditations. I like make it a time of like, really, it's also that time of your period that time of your cycle is also a very like heightened intuition time. So like you are like more permeable, you like feel and sense and receive more messages from your body and like what's around you. So I really try to prioritize rest and like an open schedule so I can receive. And yeah, sometimes that takes planning ahead, but it's worth it. And I super look forward to it.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, all of us have kids. So like, is it like, what does it actually look like? Like you kind of just have chill days. You don't leave the house. You don't exercise. You're just kind of chilling at home. Is your diet any different?
That's what I was going to ask too, because you're probably going to have people that say, yeah, it sounds great and all, like to just look for 2 days of rest, but like you have a whole life. How do I make this
if you
job?
Have if you work, you have a career or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple ways, and everything about this is always so highly personal too. For me, it's planning ahead. It's communicating with my husband. Hey, my period's due in a couple days. So like, what's on your work schedule? Can our daughter come downstairs and like hang out with you for a while he's working from home? Or I thankfully have a lot of family that lives in town, and I am very open. Like, hey, my period's coming up. Can you take my daughter for a couple hours? And like, I will cook ahead of time. Your period is a really great time for like winter foods and like easy to digest foods, and like so slow cooked, soft, warming foods that helps your digestion a lot. Soups, yes. So I'll plan I'll cook a couple soups ahead of time if I can. Otherwise, just be like, hey, husband.
So you're like an actual period proactive planner.
Yes.
And it actually sounds like incredible. I'm like, dude, I'm going to eat like soup for 2 days. Like, no one's going to talk to me. I'm off the hook.
Yes.
I know. I'm so excited.
It's so nourishing. It's like the most like self-nurturing time of my whole month. And I
no
definitely
one's
plan
ever
for it.
given us permission to do that. You're the first person. Like, I'm like,
do it.
I am different. Like, stay out of my period. I'm not mean. It's all about me. I'm selfish. That's what I'm going to be.
But I guess it's wrong.
Especially for me, I would say the first 2 days. Like the first 2 days of my period are when I feel the most tired. I bleed the most on the first 2 days. So I really would prefer not have to worry about bringing a second pair of pants out when I go, because chances are that I might need them. And that's embarrassing. I used to teach, and it was really, really embarrassing to like, I had days where I'm teaching and I'm like, I would bring a scarf on day 2 in case I didn't get to change my pants in time before the students come, so I could cover up the blood stain on the back of my pants. And now I'm hearing, I'm not sure if you've heard this, but I heard from somebody in my network that there's some organizations who are now giving menstruation leave to the women in their workforce or in their departments, because some women, they really do need to take the day off or a couple of days because of the symptoms that they feel. Now, some women don't need it, and that's great, good for them. But when I heard about this, I'm like, what? That would have been
about
glorious.
time.
I didn't have to teach on the days where I was bleeding through my pants. It was so embarrassing, you know?
Yeah.
So is this happening where are you seeing this happen across the board? What's happening with this menstruation
Definitely
leave
not across
going on?
the board. That would be incredible. I'm waiting for that. But yes, there's some countries that are introducing like paid menstrual leave, right? And different companies that are more taking that initiative themselves. And it's incredible because yes, some women and menstruators absolutely like can't function, you know? And like, why should we have to, again, like conquer our bodies? And why do you owe work like that much of you don't? And so like whatever your life looks like, even if you can't like take the 2 days off because you don't have paid menstrual leave or because you still have kids or you still have to do things, for me it's like so much padding around the things that I do still have to do that I can't just take off my plate or put off for a few days. If I can just like move slower, if I can take rests afterwards, if I can even like shift 5% or take 1 hour of rest, that's way more body nurturing and support than I was able to do before. And like the attitude toward my body feels so different. And so then it's like, it's not quite as draining. I mean, it's still going to be draining if you're like bleeding out of your pants all the time and you're like in a lot of pain, but you have to show up. It's still going to be draining, but if you can like buffer it with as much of this like support of time and space and like self-care that you can, it'll at least be a little bit more manageable.
And I think that one thing that I didn't recognize then, but I'm looking back like, why didn't I do this? I had sick leave available for me. Why did I not ever decide, you know what? I'm going to take day 2 off. Every month, day 2, I don't work. Like, I'm going to take advantage of my sick leave. Why did I not do that? I think something inside of me like didn't believe I deserved it.
Well, we want to feel strong. We don't want to feel weak. And we've fought so hard for our gender equality, I feel like, in the workplace, that all of a sudden to like fight for it and say, I'm just as capable as a man, and then be like, actually, I need a day off because of my period. That feels counterintuitive, right? And so I feel like we've forced ourselves to be okay when we're not okay. And I have like, a couple things. One, when you rest, it's so much better. You come back so much more energized, right? You come back rejuvenized after taking a rest. And so it makes sense that your body naturally calls for that every month. Also, your period, like your mindset around your physical body in general, for me personally, like I've been really struggling mentally with losing my baby weight. And it wasn't until I met with somebody who was doing my foot zone. She's like, Brittany, your body is not working against you. Think about that for a second. Your body is a tool. Your body is your friend. Your body's not working against you. And I think so often when I've had my period, I've been like, oh, when I meet God, I'm going to ask him, why did you make me bleed every month for 7 days? And then you made me go through pregnancy and then childbirth. And I'm like, that's going to be my first question.
And he's going to be like, it was a gift. And you didn't take advantage of it.
I'm like, wait, if my body's not fighting against me, if my period's not a punishment, how does that change my mindset? And how does that change my cortisol levels? How does it change my stress? How does it change the way that I accept it? And just like ever since my friend pointed that out to me, your body's not working against you. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not.
I almost feel like, honestly, like just this conversation is like shifting in my head. And I'm like, it's like a cleanse. Like every month you have the opportunity to like cleanse and like be new and start new. And so if you almost take it in this like sacred special space that like you get to do this and God made you to every month like renew and start again, like that could shift everything.
Yes, and it absolutely does. And it sounds a little weird at first to be like, okay, my menstrual cycle has all this power and like my period can be like part of my spiritual edification. Like, again, I mentioned already that it's like a natural time where your intuition is heightened and like your sensitivity is heightened. I mean, we know that. I was just on my period last weekend and I was like, don't touch any part of me. Like, we're just so sensitive in every way, physically, emotionally, spiritually too. And so it's like, yes, now part of what I look forward to is not only the rest, but it's like, yes, it is a refill of like my spiritual well-being to like my body becomes the entry point for nourishing my soul at that time.
I guess for me, I was telling you guys, I'm listening. It's spiritual, but I'm like, so my period's never been bad. Like like I was telling you, like I grew up in Haiti. I got my period when I was 12, and I remember my grandma was very natural. We were like without medication and cramps, like not a woman like that. So I remember when I first had my period, I went to my grandma, and my grandma's like, "Look, it's like ginger, turmeric, and you need to drink this every day."
Oh my gosh, that
Every
sounds
day,
so
drink
good.
it, especially when you're period twice a day. And then, like, so as I always get my period, it was like a 2-day thing. I got cramps, and so I've never had like a relationship with my period, and so it wasn't ever something like, "Oh my gosh, it's coming." And then my friends always like, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky! Like, you must be God's favorite because this is awful," you know? And I'm like, "Oh no!" Like, it's never been that for me. So when I got an IUD, having kids, 10 years, and it's like as you're speaking about it, you're like,
10 years.
You want your period back. This is your period
Now,
speaking.
here's a question for you, Vanessa. Like my mom, she's gone through like menopause and stuff like that, but she says that she can still tell when she's supposed to have her period. She said that she still feels a lot of the same things, but she just doesn't actually bleed. And so she like treats herself like she's going to. So do you have a similar experience since you don't really have periods now? Like, can you tell when your cycle is changing? Do you drink your tea that your grandma taught you to make? Like, how do you, what's that
I'll
like?
drink it. Like, if I don't, I just like pop some supplement of turmeric or ginger. But like, I can tell like I'm ovulating. Like, so I can tell like my body. But I've never like had the cramping or anything like that. But I do, like, I can tell you. There should be when it's coming. Like, I have buy tampons. Or never would I have it in my house.
We're all gonna go like so far the other way. We're just gonna like walk around and bleed out. And, like as we, I'm just gonna wear a skirt and let it run down my legs.
I'd be like, it's beautiful. It's not disgusting.
No, but I was even thinking, I'm like, that's probably a really good time to like go within and get like spiritual like information, because if your body's so sensitive, I imagine like your spirit and your connection with God or whoever you believe in is as well. So Man.
I know, as you were speaking, I'm like, this is like
Yeah.
a spiritual, like, you talk, the way you talk about it makes it feel like very, like, this is so in tune, and this is the spirit,
Which I want that.
Yeah.
Well, anything natural can be spiritual, right? That's what I've discovered about life, is that natural things can be spiritual things.
What I'm learning recently is I used to think of myself as a soul in a body, but now I'm really realizing in my own journey that the body and the soul are very much entwined. And I think in many ways are like neglecting our bodies, thinking that, oh, it's just the soul that matters. But like there is a beautiful, combination, and it's hard to know where the line is between one and the other. Now, Clubbred is something that you created to help us women along this journey. I believe that we need a complete cultural shift. I believe that these types of conversations we need to spread the news. Like all of us need to go walk away and share this with like a couple other women, like you need to rest on your period. You need to take care of yourself on your period. But you created something to help us along, because I'm learning. I've been talking with you prior to this episode, and just our conversations in Instagram Messenger led me to like tell my husband, hey, I'm on my period. I'm going to be like, you're going to see me laying around a little bit more today. Like I'm not being lazy. I'm like listening to my body. And he's like, go for it, girl. I went and got some toast. We're not like a high carb family. I'm like, I'm on my period. I'm craving some toast and I'm going to be eating it. And I'm going to listen to my body. For some reason, my body wanted some carbs. So I'm just going to take advantage. I'm trying to listen more to it, which I'm really excited about. But you created something to help us along this journey to take better care of ourselves and to tune in, to get more spiritual, to get more cleansed inside, outside, mentally, the whole bit. Tell us about what this Clubbred is all about.
Yes. So my Clubbred I founded it because I wanted to make it so much easier for every woman and menstruator to get it's a period self-care subscription box that's all hormone friendly. So at the same time, when I was discovering all this stuff about menstrual cycle awareness, I realized that the vast majority of the body care, self-care, period products, anything we put in and on our bodies, a lot of them have ingredients that mess with our hormones and that make our periods worse. So of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's important in and of itself. So I'm going to make it so easy for you to start replacing some of those items in your period, personal, and body care. And then also you get this box delivered to your doorstep every month that helps you turn your period into a time of ritual. It gives you permission to use these self-care items and do like a bath ritual or do like a womb massage or just like take it into whatever level you want it to be of turning in toward yourself and really nurturing yourself when your body needs that extra love and support, and also like the built-in time that it takes. Even if you can't take 2 or 3 days off of work or life, you can take a 10-minute like gua sha facial. You know what I mean? Like anything that you do during this time, but this way you've got a box that makes it so easy, gives you that permission, it's delivered to your doorstep. All these items are supportive and help you start, again, month over month, building it as a ritual instead of like a one-time, oh, I had a great period, now I never do it again. But over and over, help it become a really nourishing habit.
I love that. So do they come the same time for everyone, or do you get to decide kind of when your period's at and that's when it comes?
Yeah. So I ship out at the beginning of every like calendar month. And so then you can save up the box for your period week, or you can bust it open right then. Or whenever your period arrives, you'll always have one on hand.
But it sounds like there's some things to enjoy while on your period, and then there's some things to just get your periods better because you're taking better. You're using a lotion that doesn't have, some sort of hormone disruptor or something like that. So what's in, for example, this month's box? I would love to hear.
So we have, let's see. This month I'm going to be sending out sometimes there are period self-care and sometimes there are like period accessories. So this month there's the Bloody Buddy cup it's not the cup, it's the company. So the drying place. So you can, if you have a menstrual cup, a disc or whatever, you can utilize that. I've also got their magnesium mist, which is going to help your period symptoms. And like if you use that over the course of the month, not just while you're on your period. And then I've got a yoni steam herbs. So you can, again, like really make it a menstrual ritual.
What's that?
Yeah, I want to know what yoni steam herbs are.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Steam your
Yeah. It's like a facial, like a steam facial.
It's a facial for your vagina?
You sit and
Yes.
you steam the coochie.
How do you steam it though?
With
Like
the
you
yoni.
squat over a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a.
It's herbs.
thing.
Yeah, it's herbs. You put it in boiling water. Yeah.
So what's the benefit?
Oh, so many. First of all, super relaxing. These are organic herbs. Like they help tone the uterus, can help release stagnant energy or blood because like you're adding heat and steam. It's like really rejuvenating. Steam is really good for rejuvenating tissue, that kind of thing.
Save money instead of doing
Wow.
what you did.
What? Oh, yeah, I did the vaginal rejuvenation. I should have just steamed. Not had to pay for it.
Thought about it. Okay. So you can get some period stuff. There's a little steamer. Is there anything else? Like how many things typically come in the box?
Yeah,
How does that
so
work?
it's every month and you get usually 4 to 6 full size period self-care or just like, again, hormone friendly self-care to utilize the rest of the month to replace some of your other items. One of the other things in this month's box is it's just a body soap bar, but it is by a company that's fully like clean products, doesn't have any hormone disruptors, and you can utilize that all month. And also like there's a whole bunch of products out there right now that are not actually like, there's a ton of like yoni soaps that are actually not, you don't really need them. Honestly, your vagina is self-cleaning. That's what it's doing at menstruation. It is cleaning itself out.
We're all laughing because
Robin be
in
putting
a prior
stuff.
episode, Robin told everybody how thoroughly she washes
her coochie
with products.
with products.
Right. I have the best smelling coochie here, but I guess you're not supposed to stick it up inside. So I have changed that ritual.
Yes, good.
That's good.
Because
We're all learning.
a lot of people get tons of recurring UTIs or yeast infections from like this lack of knowledge that you don't actually need to like wash it out like that. Like honestly, water is fine because it's doing that work by itself.
I saw in another box that you had, maybe it was a month or so ago, you had like some teas to drink, and like, was there like a candle? There was some other things that I saw that were like, it felt like more, I guess, ritualistic or just self-care. Do you pick like specific types of teas that are good for menstruation, or is it just like any tea that you throw in there?
Definitely good for menstruation. Yeah. So red raspberry leaf tea, also everything, organic. So you're getting high quality stuff with all of these products. Red raspberry leaf tea is like known as the woman's tea. So it is really good for all of your reproductive health. And again, like uterine toning and like helping rejuvenate, helping, what's that called? Yeah, cleansing, but like circulation, because you need that if you want like no stagnation and that kind of thing.
So Elizabeth, where do these ladies find you? Like, where do they order the box?
Where do we find you? Where do we get this box?
Yes, so myclubred.com. I'm on Instagram at myclubred, and that is where you'll find me. I also have, we haven't gone there in this conversation, but I also offer like menarche kits for first periods. So it's got a little bit of period education to help you and your daughter start talking about their period, but also like it's a little pouch that's got some period products in it too, so that whenever it starts, because they're starting younger and younger. So honestly, I advise like getting a menarche kit by age 8 if they haven't already started. And then nothing expires in it. So you can keep it in their backpack or locker for years until it comes, right?
Surprise day.
Yes.
Everything changes.
I remember getting a menarche kit when I was in 5th grade, as part of like the 5th grade sex ed. All the little girls got a menarche kit, and I was so excited about it. And it was the saddest part about it is that I got it in 5th grade and I didn't get to use it until the end of 9th grade.
I didn't start till I was 17 years old.
Wow.
What does that mean about me? Is it
Everybody
kind of like you're
is
like
unique.
Scorpio, Taurus? I was a dancer, so it could have been that it pushed it back.
Yep.
But
I
I
don't doubt
tell you,
it.
those last 5 years gave me straight anxiety. Like, dancing on the
'cause you
drill
start
team. I'm
wondering
like,
if
I'm
there's
going to
something
blow
wrong
in the
with
middle
you.
of a white costume, or like, I just want it so I can like be prepared, not scared.
And if you had your menarche kit, you might have been prepared for it. So I really like that because I feel like that's gone now. I don't know if they do that in schools anymore, but I think that could be a really great way to bond with your daughter and just a sweet gift to them.
Turn the mindset around again
From the beginning.
So they're not dreading it. They're excited. Like, oh, your body's now becoming more like a woman.
Yeah. And I like
Let's
send
celebrate
along an email with like conversation starters and ideas, because what I've been hearing from a lot of moms is they don't even know how to broach this topic. They don't know what their daughter needs to hear or wants to hear, and I just send along, here's a little bit of help and a little bit of education to get you started, and then usually it's like, oh phew, I've got somewhere to go with this.
You should be like, this should be replaced with like the maturation program, because I just went to that a couple weeks ago with my daughter and I was mortified. Like the things the lady was teaching, I was like, well, we're going to have to go home and talk about that. Like, just, it didn't feel aligned. It was she made it feel like scary and anxious and like embarrassing. Like she was talking about how like, this is what you do. And if you have a male teacher, you quietly slip out and you don't want the boys to know. And I literally almost raised my hand. I really did. I actually ended up sending an email to my district. So I was like,
Robin.
what was that?
That's
like,
not okay.
Not okay. Like, and then she like said weird things. Like she was saying something like, and then you'll start getting breast tissues, and we don't wear white t-shirts anymore because the boys will look through. And I was like, lady,
What
get
is
out of
happening?
here.
Oh
Yeah,
my
like
gosh.
she was
Like,
crazy.
but
that's like for our whole entire district. She's the one who teaches all these ladies. But I'm like, that was only a couple weeks ago. I did have a follow-up conversation with my daughter, but now even me personally having this shift here, I want to like talk to her again and be like, it's like such a privilege to have a period, and it's like can be really spiritual, and like allow it to come, and like just remember that's your beauty within. And you need to be teaching that stuff, because whoever's in our school district,
you just need to go to school
I
district
agree.
and like kind of that's like your next add to your brand. Because I was watching a TikTok. It's so funny. Yesterday I was watching a TikTok. I think it's like a show something, and this girl was sitting on the couch, and you got up, and the boy was sitting next to her, and you could tell she just got her period at her boyfriend's house. And then he's like, oh, what is this Kool-Aid on the couch? And he's like touching it and smelling it, and she's like terrified. And then she's like, oh, I need to go home, and she's like against the wall, but then she wiped it all over the wall. And then he's like, and the older brother came out, and he's like, oh my gosh, she is bleeding from her vagina. And then the boyfriend's like, we need to call 911 because she is gonna die. And the dad's like, oh, she's fine. She just has her period, kind of like educate the boys, because I think it's just a conversation to have too.
Yes, especially the boys that don't have sisters, and so they don't know, and they go to school and they freak out. Like I think my kids, they all know. Like my boys know what a tampon is. They know all of those things, and I'm now even saying like I'm on my period, so I'm gonna be resting now. Again, this is all you, Elizabeth.
Love
You're
it.
the one that started it. And my boys, like they don't even like turn their heads with it.
Yes,
and I
they
You're also
have that
teaching
capacity.
them when they later marry or have girlfriends or wives to respect the period and
Or
allow.
again, like
Yeah.
employees or like coworkers or just literally anyone around them, because half of us bleed. Like it's fine. It is fine.
Yes.
We're not going to die.
Stop
and
making it a big
honestly,
thing.
what you could do instead, I saw a TikTok that was about these sons that every month like take turns getting their mom like period care. And it's like, what a better way
Yes.
to like not make it weird and know what's happening. That's like our bodies function the way they do for a reason, and we just support them. It is not something to be weird about.
I learned a lot, so I think that was really awesome. So that was a great episode.
And I think, the wisdom of the ages, women used to like in tribes would come together and they would have like their periods together. I don't know about you if you have any sisters or moms, but when I grew up, my sister, my mom, and I were all on our period together. And so I know that my daughter, eventually when she starts having her period, if I haven't started menopause by then, we will be probably perioding together. And I'm really looking forward to maybe even sharing a box with her and just like making it a thing, like, hey, let's take a little extra care for ourselves. What's a chick flick? Let's light this candle or something like that, and really use it as a bonding experience with my own daughter. So I appreciate you so much coming on, teaching us. So we'll clarify again one more time, where can people find you and find the box?
myclubbred.com and myclubbred on Instagram.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Period
much.
power, unite.